Item 74, Teresa.
Item 74 is the draft EIR for the State Route 710 North Study Project in Los Angeles County. The draft EIR considers 4 alternatives in addition to a non-build alternative. The 4 build alternatives under consideration are expected to cost between $105 million to $5.65 billion, depending on the alternative selected. The build alternative will have unavoidable significant environmental impacts to this project. As the Commission is a responsible agency, this report was provided to the Commission for comments. Staff recommends the Commission direct staff to send a letter to Caltrans that says that the Commission has no comments pertaining to the environmental impacts or the alternatives under consideration in the draft EIR. That the final environmental document should not be brought forward to the Commission for project funding decisions or other purposes until the recently released cost-benefit analysis is distributed through a process that ensures sufficient opportunity for the public to review and provide comment. And that early communication and coordination with the Commission is encouraged if it is anticipated that the Commission will be requested to approve the project for delivery through a public-private partnership or for the construction approval to allow for financing and tolling approval by the California Transportation Financing Authority. Staff recommends your approval.
Well, we have one speaker. So let's hear the speaker. Diana Mahmood.
Oh, this is way too high. Good morning. This is my 3rd opportunity to appear before you on this item. I want to thank you very much for your attention and also bring to your attention the fact that letters have been submitted on this item by the cities of South Pasadena, former Assembly Member Portantino, the No 710 Action Committee, and the West Pasadena Residents Association, and I commend those letters to you for your consideration. First of all, I want to thank this Commission for its support in encouraging Metro's release of the important cost-benefit. Some or all of the following points. For one matter, the cost estimates for the tunnel projects are very significantly understated. Metro staff has utilized a figure, a benchmark, of $500 million per mile for this tunnel project, whereas for a similar project encompassing the Sepulveda Tunnel, they are using a figure of $1 billion per mile. Empirical evidence suggests that the cost estimate should be much higher than the $500 million estimate used by Metro. For the following reason, there is an insufficient consideration of risk. No tunnel of the size proposed by Metro, either in the single or the dual bore configuration, has ever been built anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world. The only project that exists in the world where a tunnel of a similar size has been attempted is in Seattle, and that project is extremely challenged, to put it mildly. In that tunnel, which would replace the Alaskan Way Viaduct, which has encountered some earthquake damage and is believed to be structurally unsafe, and thus time is of the essence in completing that project. The tunnel boring machine, affectionately known as Bertha, only completed 1,000 feet of its 1.7-mile length before it got stuck. Notwithstanding this very, very limited progress, Washington DOT has paid the tunnel contractor $1 billion of its $1.35 billion total. In addition, the contractor has submitted claims to date of $300 million. Now, I'm a former construction lawyer for the Metropolitan Water District, construction end lawyer, and I can tell you there is going to be a giant slugfest between the owner, the contractor, and the manufacturer of the TBM as they each seek to place responsibility on the other for the many, not only for the costs incurred to date. The manufacturer and contractor have thus far incurred the costs of constructing an 80 by 120 feet deep access pit to access the TBM so that it could be removed from its present site where it was stuck. It's currently being repaired. It has been stuck since December of 2013. At this point, there's extensive damage to both the inner and the outer seals of the TBM. There is no contract completion date, and indeed, before they were just fired by the Washington State Legislature this week, the state's expert review panel told the state in its most recent report issued April of 2015, we cannot establish a contract completion date until the TBM resumes operation successfully. So at this point, critical project, no contract completion date. The cost-benefit analysis.
One more minute.
Thank you. I'm almost done. The cost-benefit analysis does not measure cost efficiency, and there is no application of a cost-benefit ratio by which projects that produce the greatest benefit per dollar are identified. If such a cost-benefit ratio was applied in this instance, the TSM-TDM alternative would measure the highest benefits. The benefits regarding the tunnel use are highly speculative because there's no price elasticity of demand analysis. It is highly unlikely that there will be sufficient public dollars to construct this. You need P3 financing. There hasn't been any identification of the point at which you can derive sufficient toll revenues to pay the P3 project partners and still make the toll low enough such that people want to pay to use it, even at $5 per trip. That's $220 per month for commuters. There's no health cost analysis, and this is a really important issue. The Caltrans current model includes no health cost. However, we all know that disadvantaged communities track highway improvements since there's going to be so much transportation funding tied in. I really think you need to suggest that the Caltrans model be modified to include health cost benefits. I simply want to close by mentioning my city, together with Pasadena, Glendale, La Cañada, Flint Ridge, and Sierra Madre, is proposing a multimodal alternative beyond the 710. More information is available at beyondthe710.org. And with that, I thank you for your attention and again encourage you to consider the submittal of comments on any or all of the points that I have raised. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Marvin Pineda.
Good morning. Marvin Pineda on behalf of the City of Alhambra. While the cost-benefit analysis is not an environmental impact, so we don't feel that there needs to be an inclusion for a comment period. Again, but if the Commission feels that there should be a comment period, we would follow you. We support the public, and we want the best for the public. We don't want rushed decisions here. As far as the cost-benefit analysis, we think it's appropriate, and there will always be arguments against it. The EIR is already 33,000 pages, so adding another period would just delay the process. The comment period for the EIR was already extended. Again, we want to move forward. This has been going on for over 40 years. There is evidence that kids that live to heavy populated areas are affected by traffic, and we will be submitting comments on the EIR. There is wide support for this project, and it will continue to grow. Recently, the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments supported the project. As far as the Seattle project, we believe that there are two different geographic locations, and we think it's flawed saying that because a project failed in the past, another one will fail in the future. This has been going on for a while. There is the EIR and the cost-benefit analysis shows that this project reduces traffic, improves air, and we'll be submitting our comments on that. And we thank you for all your work that you're doing on this project, and we hope to continue to work with you on it. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you. Commissioner Gilmetti, then Commissioner Frommer.
Yeah, we've been waiting a long time for this cost-benefit analysis, and I realize the staff just got it. Is there any timeline as to when we're going to get staff comments on that?
Mr. Chair, in response to Commissioner Gilmetti's question, we were not intending to provide comments on the actual cost-benefit analysis. We did, and the recommendation to you is that we would communicate a letter to the agencies involved, both Caltrans and MTA, that a document should not be brought forward to the Commission for project funding decisions until, and I'm going to quote right out of the staff report, until a cost-benefit analysis is distributed, which it has been, but through a process that ensures sufficient opportunity for the public to review and provide comment. We certainly would be encouraging a process that will allow the public to comment on the content of the cost-benefit analysis.
Following up on that, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Executive Director Kempton. I want to thank, first I want to thank Caltrans for extending the time for public comment on the EIR, the DEIR. I understand they've also allowed time for some comment on the cost-benefit analysis. I don't know if Carrie, are you still here? Can I drag you up here, because I have a couple of questions about process and then what's going to happen. I have concerns about this. I haven't had a chance to read it in detail. It just came out on Friday. But I do think there's some interesting questions, starting with the numbers that are used to estimate the per mile cost of tunneling. MTA, which prepared this cost-benefit analysis, did another one on the Sepulveda bypass, which is a project they are considering, and the cost that was used there for tunneling was about $1 billion, I think, a mile. This is $500 million per mile, and this is a 6-mile tunnel. We're talking about approximately. That's the alternative under consideration, either 2 tunnels or 1 tunnel. So this is it's a big project. So leading up to my question to you, Carrie, what are the opportunities then for the public to comment? And has Caltrans had an opportunity to review the CBA? I know it was just released. And will Caltrans be sort of going over the methodology used by MTA, or have you done that on the front end? In other words, where's the process for the public to give their input, and then who's going to kick the tires on this thing to make sure that it's we're good on the numbers, particularly on this tunnel?
Thank you, Commissioner. So we have extended the comment period on the CBA. We've added it to our website in District 7, and Metro's also added it to their website. It is now a part of our EIR, EIS. You can make comments directly to us, to Caltrans, to Garrett Damarath. We have posted that on our webpage. The comment period is extended to August 5th in compliance with CEQA. So that gives, we had extended it to the 120 days because of the complexity and the length of the document, and now that's an additional, extended now to August 5th. So any questions people have about the way the cost-benefit analysis was done, if there's questions about the calculations on the tunneling, the dual bore, the depreciation, the analysis, any of that, we'll be responding to that as part of the EIR EIS. So we will answer those questions. Staff did have some time to review it, and we'll go back and double check those numbers along with Metro.
And so if Caltrans was come to this commission, then it will be with a final environmental document, and that environmental document will include responses to issues raised about the CBA and issues raised about the environmental assessments made and the alternatives.
And any comments on technical studies, including the CBA, yes.
Okay. And then technically, though, you guys are the lead agency on this?
Technically, we are the lead NEPA and CEQA.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. So I would just say I'm obviously very concerned about this project. This is a project that was supposed to be completed in 1964 when I was 1 year old, and we're still here. I would just say to you, to Caltrans, before you bring this back to us in final form and ask to get put in any schedule or any programming, you really need to have a very credible case for the alternatives. You need to really have a credible case that we can obtain the funding.
Of the City of La Cañada Flint Ridge, Mark Alexander, Jeffrey Baum from the West Pasadena Residents Association, Gloria Valladolid from who is a resident of Alhambra, Melissa Michelson, a resident of Alhambra, Jan Suhu from the No 710 Action Committee, and a letter from former Assembly Member Anthony Portantino. Copies of these communications were provided to the commissioners prior to consideration of this item, and we would propose to attach these communications to the letter that we send to Caltrans.
Staff recommendation. We're not making. Right, we're not making it. So it's been moved by Commissioner Burke. Second. Second. Second by Commissioner Art. Any questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 75.